Um, and I realized I haven't talked to you guys much about brushes. I wanted to just have a small conversation about it. Hang on, I'm going to grab my favorite brushes. So I actually have a brush and a brush maker I really love. And I will spend 25, 30, even $40 on one paintbrush because I love it so much in watercolor. It's this brush, this Escoda, the name of the brand. It's a half inch, meaning it's like a half inch across. And it's a very beautiful, and I do most of my watercoloring in this. Now to compare, my favorite brush and the one I use the most in acrylic and oil is this. Oh. It's like a big 1-inch ratty craft brush. Absolutely the best tool in the world for dealing with acrylic, but with and these cost 50 cents, so I have a lot of them. This one is and so the other thing I wanted to say is this is a synthetic on the recording, is that this is a synthetic brush. I prefer synthetic brushes to animal hair brushes. Sable, other things are actually made from animal hair, and the animal had to die for that to happen, generally not well. So I kind of encourage people to look for the synthetic option. So if you want, I will send a picture of this later. And the size and the name and all of that stuff. I'll send it across the thread if you want to. I mean, in general, you're going to find your own brushes and your own ways of doing things. I don't want to dominate that too much, but I did think this is one I really like. There's a lot of control. You have a lot of control, but it's not teeny tiny. A lot of people want to start with like a teeny tiny brush, like, I don't know, like this one. See the difference, the little pointy one here. And the problem with that is you just can't cover, as you probably always started painting with this, leaves a lot of marks that you may or may not want in your painting. This covers a lot more bigger areas. So you can deal with those first, and then you go back in and use this for the little tiny mark making details that you want to use. So does anybody have questions about that before we get started? All right. Well, we've done a white flower. We did a hot pink tulip last week. So I thought we might try a yellow hibiscus. And one of the things I wanted you to notice about this, can you tell which direction the light's coming from? Which direction is the light coming from?
The left?
Yeah, how can you tell? Exactly. How can you tell?
Because of the shadow on the right side.
Right, the whole like sort of bottom side. Actually, here, I'm going to do this in something that we can all see. The whole bottom side of this flower, and you can really see it in the gray here, right? It's slightly darker and slightly shadowed. This area is light because it's sticking up, but definitely the light's coming from this side. So we're going to start with a circle. We're going to be really playing up that edge.
Do you want us to draw a circle on that paper?
I do, using a pencil, just like we did last week. So if you can see the circle, and this is a pretty basic circle. It takes up most of the space. Kind of comes down a little bit here. Yeah. And that's hard to see. So what I don't like about the light in here this time of night. Let's see if I can. No, I can't see the whole thing. I'm just going to sketch in this circle brighter. You may not make this circle as dark as I'm making it. I'm really only making it this dark so you guys can see it. Right. So then, once again, instead of doing the whole petals, we're just gonna do these kind of little, right, triangular shapes, really. And the challenge will be to kind of get them in the right places. And they're all basically triangles, little ones and big ones. Can you see those, or should I do those? And maybe I can do those in a darker color. Let me do those in a darker color, so you can really see it. See that? Little triangles. Yeah. A little easier to see. And again, we do these first so we can kind of place everything. You may find you're going to have to, so here I am up here, right, like that. And then up here, there's a little tiny one, and then over here, there's another one, and then right next to it is kind of a bigger one. So I'm literally just moving around this circle. Adding in these little triangles. You might find as you add them in that you have to adjust the shape of the circle. But you see how this is like way easier than trying to draw all the petals?
Yeah.
Like you'll invariably get the petals wrong. You'll make them too big. And let's see how this goes. Well, actually, right? You'll invariably make the petals too big if you try to draw the whole thing. But if you carve out the edges, it's almost like carving a stone. We're almost like, see, then we have a tendency to want to make all petals the same size, to make them uniform, to make them look exactly the same. But of course, nature isn't like that, right? And this flower isn't, we're not looking directly at this flower. It's a little bit turned away from us. So the petals aren't going to be all the same size. So this kind of helps you shape them. Why don't you take a picture and send it across WhatsApp when you have it to this stage? I just want to check it just so I can check it and make sure it's also a really good stage to kind of catch ourselves before we go off the rails. Yes, there's a little. I like things where we can catch ourselves before we get too out of control.
I like that you said that. That was funny.
Going off. Let's not go off the rails here. Let's.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
take a picture of it. Let's
Mhm. Jonathan, you did a beautiful job with your tulip. Wow.
Oh, I
I
couldn't
think
believe how well it turned out.
It turned out great. And the story, I think it's because you love tulips so much. The story was lovely. The story
Oh,
about
thank you.
tulips was a great thing.
Did I send it? I'm kind of.
Yeah, I got it. You got it. There, you got it. It's in. Let me just grab it. Now I just need to get it here. I need to call up WhatsApp on my computer so I can see it. Yep, I totally got it. That looks pretty good. So Paula, I would move this guy, which you have down here.
Yeah.
See, this big one is really more over
here. Okay.
right.
Yes.
And that'll help shape this one. And then see what I mean about like, and then this is a bigger petal, you'll see.
Okay.
And that means this will scoot over a little bit as well. So it doesn't, how do I, yeah, you'll just bring it down a little bit to the left. So this shape and that shape are both moving a little circle that way. And I think everything else looks pretty good. Let's see. Jonathan. Good. Good. This side, Jonathan, is a little bit bigger.
Oh, okay.
How wide that is, that's really going to help shape. So yours is kind of in here like this, and there's a bigger, it just shows the kind of thrust of the petal is going a little bit more dramatically. Let's see. And bring this guy down just a little bit lower below the halfway point. I think everything else looks pretty good. All right. And then, of course, once we do that, well, let's do two things. We have this shape. It's almost a little coffin shape. So this shape starts here. Goes up like this. Yeah, it really does look like a little coffin. Yep. It's not exactly in the center. So what you want to do is line up this straight line with this point to get that shape first. Then we can start sketching in our petal shapes, which is always very satisfying. Let's start with this shape, because right, this shape interacts. Notice this shape. Once we get this shape, I can use this to kind of direct where my petals hit this funny little coffin. Oh, and I can see. I need to actually move over my. So if you'll notice, I always like to point out to students when I make a mistake too. I'm like, yep. So I'm moving my. Yep. It always looks so weird at this stage. It seems so awkward, but this I think is the hardest part in a way, getting all the things in the right places. So once you've got your little coffin and your petal shapes, let me see it again. If you have to do a little bit adjusting around the edge, like I did right here, that's totally good. That's kind of what helps us. How was your day, Jonathan?
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Paula says she works, what was it? 12-hour days?
Yeah, 3 12-hour shifts.
Oh, wow.
But she has a 12-hour shift on Monday. You have your publishing day on Monday. And then Tuesdays for you guys are both like, phew.
Yeah.
Except I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Right? You're just trying to like kind of recapture equilibrium. Let's see.
Well, I'll send mine to you. I think I I don't know if I made the coffin section
So
correct.
Jonathan, you did this. You did something that looks like this.
Yeah.
And you see that is not the shape. So this is really, this top line is really straight out like that. This is a much wider angle
Okay.
than the angle that you've drawn.
Okay.
And I think you'll find when you do that, and you'll see that when you get this in the right places, notice the petal lands at this point here on the coffin, at this point here, at this point here. You can see you don't really have this one in the right place, but once I think you fix this, you will.
I think I did the same thing. Did you get mine?
Let's see. Yeah, so you did this. Let me show you. You went down.
Right.
So erase this top bit, erase
the
the whole top bit like that. And then really watch, it really is out at an angle like this. So it's this big wide angle. This one is kind of facing this direction. This one is kind of facing this direction. And you see, both of you had trouble putting your petal in the right shape point here, right? Because it shouldn't be here at the tip. It should be here.
Right.
Right. So once you get that shape right, but that's good, you guys. You did good. So we use one thing that, we use the things, we kind of, the reason this works is that we can use these shapes, which we've already established, to help us use one shape against another, right? We kind of orient our shapes in relation to each other, which is kind of, it's not how we're used to thinking. We're used to thinking our verbal side, our left brain, our communication side, is very used to specifically defining and naming things and separating them out. And think of it like a bento box, right? In your a bento lunch box where everything is separate and put in its own little pieces. But when we're drawing something, it has to be more like a stew. Everything's thrown in together. So I need to make sure that this is in relation to this, which is in relation to these shapes. There's all of that going on. And then, of course, once you get that, these become easier. Once again, I'm going to use okay, I can tell already those are going to be tricky to see. So I'm going to do those in a different color, like maybe yellow. Let me try yellow. So you can see. There's circle 1. I like these outer shapes, these little boxes. And let's see, I'm going to pull this down a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. So then once I do that, I can do the same thing. See how I'm kind of carving out this as well, doing that same. I'm using my little outer shapes to carve my inner shapes. That angle right. Kind of. And of course, and don't worry, I'll review this. I'm just gonna sketch them. I'm kind of sketching in. Of the petals. And the light shapes. So you can see how they're working. We'll switch over to the, see, I think you can now see, it's funny, when you put a line around them, they become easier to see the dark and the light shapes. Oops. But feel free to send me yours at this stage. If you want to, you can try and get in some of these shapes. Really, what this is planning. It drives some people crazy. They think you shouldn't have to plan when you're doing art. But actually, this is really the best part of art, the planning process. It makes things a lot easier. You have to think a little bit more at the beginning. But if you're willing to do that, and then you can see, you'll be able to like kind of do more nuanced shaping and shading as you start to add in these dark and light shapes. If you want, you can also totally add in a few of these lines, but I wouldn't actually, don't do them unless they're actually there. Don't make them up. You want to actually have them. You want to draw them as you actually see them. So you also don't need to do those. Actually, I'm going to erase those. Maybe a few later. And then after that, I erase the outer lines of the envelopes. And then also these outer lines. These also have a pretty distinct pattern. I suspect we won't be seeing much from the LA crowd until the Oscars are over. I assume the next 2 weeks are really busy. Are you guys doing any LA coverage or stuff, Jonathan, or no?
Not really.
Yeah, so you're like kind of spared that, but
Yeah.
a lot of our participants are West Coast LA journalists who are covering the Oscars right now.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Excuse me. This happens, I'm just picking all the things up, I'm not down. And don't rush this process, you guys. I go a little quickly so I can show you, then we have time to correct, go on to the painting, but don't worry, we've got plenty of time. Wait, I don't know. Yeah. Let's put this up just a teeny bit. Would you like me to send this over the thread, a copy of this?
Yeah.
See it closer. Do that. Give me just a second. I'm going to take a picture. It's a little hard to see the details. And it's also true that I've blocked some of the details with my marks, so we will go back to those. But here, let me send that. Come on, turn it. Okay. There we go. There we go. You have it now in the thread, so you can take a closer look at it.
Okay.
Yeah. Jonathan, I'm going to take a look in just a second. Come on. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's remove the spotlight. Maybe this is a second, and what I'm first going to do. Sometimes I notice it doesn't like to be, phone doesn't like to be taken off and put back on again. It's annoyed. There we go. Okay. Up back up. And then let me take a look. It's kind of- Yeah, there is a little bit there, isn't there? There's a little bit here as well. That looks pretty good. Notice, Jonathan, down here how dark this whole area is. This whole thing. So
Okay,
just make sure you've got that.
okay.
There's these little light pops on this petal, but most of it is dark. And then get in your little bebobs here.
Oh, yeah.
Dark bebobs. Looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna get this one in. It's kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? Like these little shapes. The one little shape, the other little shapes. And Jonathan, once you're done with that, you can pull it out. You want to clean out your palette. You're going to want all your yellows, pinks, reds, and a little bit of blue.
All the yellows?
Yeah. Any yellow you've got, pull it out. We don't know
Okay,
if they're all gonna read. We're gonna test. We're gonna do some testing.
okay. Yellows and what else?
Yellows, reds, and your cool reds and your warm reds, and a little bit of blue, ultramarine.
Okay,
You've got it. Paula, how's it going over there?
I'm working, I'm still working.
Good girl, you're doing great. You're doing
Sure.
great.
It's
No
hard
rush. No rush.
getting all those little details.
Yeah, don't worry about every detail. Just worry about that. Yeah, but you're,
Let me send you a picture to get
yeah,
your
let me
opinion.
see where you're at. It's funny because we start with the biggest shapes, right? The outer shapes, and we kind of work into the smaller shapes.
Right,
Oh, that's looking in pretty good shape, honey.
you think?
Mhm.
The center part, I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's looking pretty good. I think you're in good shape. I think we should stop there.
Okay,
Start and let's start painting.
okay.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do, let's take a look at this. And which is a little bit easier to see. And I'm gonna do some testing. I have another piece of watercolor paper here that I'm gonna do some test mixing on. And the real challenge here is that all of these, you can probably see them a little better, all these dark areas that aren't red, right? That aren't like the dark red of the center, are actually kind of a grayish yellow. which you get by mixing the complement of yellow, which is purple. So we have a two-pronged job before us. First, we have to mix a purple, the right purple. And then we're going to need to add just tiny dots of that purple to the yellow to darken it. So that's what I want you to, and then beyond that, let's see. So I've got, you want to see which yellows will work the best, right? Will kind of darken and lighten the way you want to. So it's good to test. So I've got 3 yellows here. I've got what's called a cool yellow, which is kind of, can you see it? It's kind of this, it's a lemon yellow.
Uh-huh.
And this is a cadmium yellow. Look at the difference between them. The cadmium yellow is almost orange. This lemon is kind of more lemony yellow. And then I've got this stuff over here. It's called gamboge, almost a muddy ochre color. So I thought we would, I have all of them out. If you do not have all of these, don't worry, but let's test colors that you do have. And then for my, I'm going to start by mixing a purple using my ultramarine blue and a cool red. So I'm using quinacridone red. I don't know if you've got that in that deck.
I have a crimson red.
Try the crimson. So I'm going to start, and I know I don't want to use very much of this, right? So I'm going to start by mixing, grabbing some yellow, some of my, oh, wait here, hold on. This is my cadmium yellow medium. And I'm going to get just a teeny little bit of my purple. I'm going to bring over into the yellow. If I try to put the yellow into the purple, I get this murky kind of green color. And in fact, I test it. Actually, it's looking a little on the green side. So I might try adding just a little bit more red into my mix here. Oh yeah, I like that better. So you should be getting something that's a little bit kind of golden. But if I were to put it next to just plain yellow, see the difference? This is the plain yellow. This is my plain yellow medium. This is my yellow with a little bit of purple in it. So that's my yellow medium. Let's do the same thing. I'm going to mix purple again. I've got ultramarine blue. I've got kind of a pinky red, quinacridone. There we go. And then I'm going to try this pale yellow. That's a little bit cooler. I'm bringing that over. Interesting. Does a kind of a different thing. When I test it, it looks a little bit more blue than I wanted to, green than I wanted to. So I'm going to add a touch of red in here into my mix. So that does a different thing. This lemon yellow. And then when I put it next to interesting. For kicks, we should also try gamboge or yellow ochre. So once again, mixing more purple. Oops. You can see it's really easy to get too much red in your purple. And then here's my gamboge. I don't think this is the color I'm looking for. I think it's going to be one of these two bright yellow mixes. So you see how I'm testing? So I want you to test your yellows. Start by mixing a purple and then adding it to your yellow. And then showing me a little tester of the yellow with the purple in it. And then right next to it, the yellow without the purple. You're going to have to go into your water in between right mixes to clean out your brush. You might even need to squeeze it a little bit. And oh yeah, we're gonna have to do that too. And then with this red section, we're also going to mix a little bit of, we're going to mix blue and yellow to make green. And then we're going to add that to red to create a kind of rich red color. So interestingly, we're doing the same colors, but different, the emphasis is on different, things. We're using red, yellow, and blue. So do a little color mixing. See if you can get some kind of these rich reds. I think I'm going to send you a picture of this because I think they're looking a little washed out. So you can see what these really look like. Here we go. These are my color mixes. So you think you have a few samples of each, send them over. Let's see. So Paula, oh, I like, so where is your, can you hold up and point me to your, just hold it up. I'm gonna remove the spotlight for a second. Hold up your testing paper and show me your shadow yellow.
This one here,
Yeah. And show me your shadow yellow.
maybe this one.
Okay. And that's made up of cadmium, medium, the sort of orangey yellow.
Yes,
Yeah, got it. Okay, great.
and a little bit of the purple.
Very nice. I like it. It's kind of surprising, isn't it?
It is.
It is surprising. Jonathan, where are you in this process? Hold them up. Oh yeah, there we go. Nice.
So I'm liking this one.
Yeah, I like that one too. Excellent. All right, so we're going to actually start with the red because that's at the center. It's a little bit darker. So let me pop back up here. Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to keep this up just a little bit. Okay, we need to look at this, and I definitely want some opportunities to test. Oh, you know what? I'll put this here. This will go here. And this will go kind of under here. So this is my testing paper. Actually, I'll put this up here. So I'm going to start with the darkest areas. I'm going to mix a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. And then I'm mixing in my sort of cool red here to start right around the edge. A bit more blue. Okay. Oh, I think I might have put that in the wrong place. All right. That should be going right next to here. I'm not worried. I'm gonna be able to fix this. But don't do what I did. Don't do that. I'm getting this very wet. And then kind of pulling off the paint using water. There we go. Okay.
So what shouldn't we be doing?
I put in and put your red right next to this little stem here.
Uh-huh.
I put it up here accidentally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't do what I just did. Proving that, yes, not only do teachers make mistakes, teachers make big mistakes, like very big. So this kind of reddish is going to go around the base. And I can also dot it up here too. Is that reddish color is up here as well. And then it's basically all yellows. Oh, it'll be interesting to see how these play out. Yeah. So in this area, don't do what I did, where this pink is kind of washed out. Don't put it there, just put it right next to this little stamen, this little center. And I can see it's a little bit lighter here, so I did a more watery color there. Yeesh. And you've got that. You guys can just hold that up when you think you've got it. That looks pretty good, Paula. Make it a little bit waterier, a little
Sure.
lighter. So take a little water on your brush, like this. Just take a little water on your brush.
And
And
dab.
dab it in a little bit, because remember, we don't want to go too dark. We can go kind of dark. You want to be careful not to go too dark, although it's the darkest area, so it's not the worst thing in the world. We go a
Is
little-
this better?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Lovely. Jonathan, how's yours? Oh, yeah, great. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our blue. Whoops. Here. We're gonna mix our blue, our purple. Right. And then we're gonna bring that into our yellow mix. Now, if you can see here, my purple looks a little bit green. I'm gonna add a little bit more red in. Kind of, oops, not too much red. There we go. A little bit more blue. Yeah. And then lightly, with very light water. A lot of water. I'm gonna kind of follow these lines. That I sketched in here. Now, and if I want to, I can test over here, down here, before I lay any color actually down. Make sure it's not too strong. These are my shadow areas. So they can be a little. So I'm really only going into the shadowy, the darkest places. So fairly lightly. Yeah. It's kind of like there. It's interesting when you pull it out, you can really see the pattern of what parts of, when you do it like this, you can see what parts of the flowers is really pulling away from the light, what's turning away from the light. It's a beautiful pattern. In a way, I kind of like it just like this. I'll take a picture of this and send it over so you guys can see the colors a little bit more clearly. Once again. Yeah. Be careful not to go too dark. I even like love seeing the whole setup, right? I love looking at the tray, the darks, the pencil lines of the lights. And the reason it's light here on the dark side is that this part of the petal is kind of rounding up towards, and it's catching the light. So that's a good kind of pattern to see that even in the dark side of the flower, there's still some light parts, not as many. Then I'm gonna clean up my, and then while you guys are finishing, I'm gonna clean my brushes up and get clean water. Oh, I'm gonna have. Is anybody finding their flowers kind of pretty at this phase?
It's okay.
Yeah. It's like, I want to work on it a little bit more. Would you like me to jump ahead and show you how to do with the light side of things?
Sure.
All right. So wherever you are, stop what you're doing. So remember, in our tests, we have a pretty distinct difference between the light and the dark side. So one of the ways we're going to convey that, but we're going to start by testing it, But the other thing we're gonna do is use a lot more water. So I'm dipping my brush in the water several times. I can go back and darken later. Oh, there's this ridiculous layer here. Hold on. There we go. I'm gonna go down a little bit. Why? Why is it doing that? I'm scooting away trying to avoid the. So this is without. It's too dark. So I'm really watering down this first layer. And when I kind of run up against this dark parts, I kind of blend my light layer into them.
Oh, let me clean my brush.
Yeah, definitely clean your brush before you do this, because you've got a lot of the shadow color on. And I'm sorry you cannot at this moment see the source. I can't show you both the source and what I'm doing, because I want you to be able to see. So you see how I'm kind of blending up. I can lighten and darken. I can darken anything. And now I'm going to come back and grab some of my shadow color and blend it up into the darker areas so that my light, so you see, I'm almost like pushing it. And kind of pushing the dark into the light area with a little kind of softy edge. And I can take a little few and take the edge here and bring up a few lines that travel from the lighter area to the darker. And I can maybe darken up my lighter side. I'm pulling my shadow. I'm using my shadow to pull these kind of lines from my dark into my light area. I'm gonna mix a little bit of red and yellow to make orange for my stem here. It's all the way up here. I'm gonna brush just a little bit of light yellow in here. And then basically I'm just gonna go back and forth, right, between my red layers, my light yellow layers. And I'm going to show you a little trick we'll use. And maybe I'm even going to go slightly heavier dark in the areas with very heavy shadows. So this is more purple, right? Like kind of in here. I'm using a smaller brush at this point. You may or may not get to this point. That's totally okay. You do not have to get to this level of detail. Notice that that little mistake I made is not causing too many problems because my dark just kind of blended into the edge. And I'm just mixing straight dark purple. So basically what we're doing here is kind of working between our darker and our lighter layers. Oh yeah, I can see that I need to get a bit more kind of bright yellow color in here. Now that I've laid my lighter color down and I've got my value differences, I can get a little bit darker with my color, but basically we're kind of pushing the edge of one layer into another. We're not going to do the final details until we get a little bit of background in. So I want you to just worry about kind of pushing these light dark layers, the bigger shapes first, and then we'll talk about how to get what's going on here happening. We're going to deal with the background a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go get a better charger. Bye. Hi there. I know it's wet out there. Oh, it's ridiculous. Can you guys hear that?
No.
Mm-mm.
That meowing? Okay, it's just. How about now? No?
Nope.
Good. I thought he was being really loud and obnoxious, but apparently not too bad. Come on. Nope, no, come up. Come on, you get jump, jump. Jump. There we go. Oh. All right, let's see if I can introduce you to this fellow. This is who has been here. Hold on. A lot of noise.
What's his name?
Oh,
Name is Bazoo.
Zoo. How cute.
Really cute. He is technically a stray, although I have pretty much adopted him.
Aw.
So he stays in the studio, which is in my garage most of the time. I mean, he's out a lot of the night, but I've gotten him fixed. Like I feed him every day. He was outside running around, and then he came running in crying because it was raining. And he was making these hilarious noises. So, and he used to be terrified of us. He wouldn't let us, he wouldn't let either of us, either my boyfriend or I, touch him. So I think it's kind of cute that now he lets us do that. Paula, do you have pets?
No, I'm allergic, unfortunately. I used to have cats growing up. And then in college, I developed severe allergies. And
You spend a lot of time taking care of things and people anyway, so probably better not
yeah, they won't get much
to have pets to take care of. How is it going, guys?
that's okay.
Okay, there may be a point when you'll want to stop. And once again, I'm gonna bring this up, right? The background is gonna be important. So really all you need, it can be any color you want. I'm gonna mix blue and green and a little red together to make a kind of dark purplish color. Once again, it doesn't really matter. You can do what you want. Oh, there's phthalo blue. All right, that's not looking too bad. So maybe use a dark color or a mix of colors that you haven't before. You will see that as you do this and add it in, it's going to help kind of solidify what's going on with your flower. So sometimes it's really nice. Oh, I've got a little turquoise too. Oh, that's nice. Just like we did last week, although last week we started with the background. You can kind of let the background help. If you're sick of working on the flower, is sometimes it helps to get in the background,
Yeah.
which will make actually kind of help your flower feel a little bit more done. You'll be able to kind of see what you need to do with it. I'll show you what kind of a lighter wash looks like. Where the hell is that? Oh, so dark. There we go. Let's do a little bit in. There we go. So you can kind of see the difference between a lighter and a darker wash, but still dark color. But this is quite heavy. Both work, I think. And sometimes it helps just to sort of help you start to see, and we're going to still do other things in here, but kind of helps to get the background in just a bit. All of these things, of course, can be adjusted. And we still have half an hour, you guys, so no rush. And now you see why it's good to have at least a 1/2 inch brush. Oh yeah, while I'm at it, I will take a picture of this brush. And I'm going to take a picture of this brush so you can see what I'm talking about. Impossible. There we go. That's the brush I like. You
Okay.
can get it on Amazon if you want. I like it. Okay. once you've gotten some color around, one of the fun tricks which you can do with tubed watercolor particularly the white, is, you know, I'm going to put a little white here. Oh, hang on, I have to cut this white out. All right, I've got some tubed white here. And if I don't get it wet, right, I use a dry brush and I kind of load it on my brush like this. I can pop it in places. And sometimes, like here, I can also bring it in a couple of places. Like here. I can also go over, I can do the same thing with my yellow. Kind of like to strengthen some edges, but mostly if I'm wanting to regain a couple of my whites, I can sometimes do it with the tubed watercolor without really putting any water on it. Oops. Around these little white dots, everything else is actually kind of darker. So I can bring in some sort of orangey, dark color. You can try just using the tubed watercolor without water, pushing it around, see if you can get it to do things. I'm using my shadow color and blending in a few, as I said, more of those lines that sort of emanate from the dark. They start in the sort of dark center and they're shadowy colored, but they move through the light. These can be kind of carrier marks, right? That kind of connect. The light to the dark petals. This is a very meditative group. I like it. But you guys are like into it. I love it.
I'm into it, yeah. It's
It's
so
so
nice.
cool. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
I don't want to like, I don't want to like ruin the buzz. I get it that you're in the zone. I don't want to wreck you, but isn't it just fantastic? I mean, after a while, you don't even really care that much, right? Like whether this turns out
I know.
perfectly beautifully or not. Paula, do you have any gouache?
Do I have, excuse me, I didn't,
Gouache? Do you have any gouache?
gouache. Is that a color?
Gouache is a type of paint that's slightly more transparent.
Oh, no.
Slightly more, it covers a little bit better than watercolor. I'm probably gonna send you, if you're into this, I'm probably gonna send you one more, you might want to get one more set. Jonathan, you have it, right?
I don't have gouache, no.
Okay, I'm gonna send you guys one more recommendation
Okay.
that we get gouache, because gouache actually gouache will do what the watercolor can't do in terms of coverage. So we can put like white, like there's these sweet little white edges. I'm not really sure we can get them even with the tubed watercolor. So I'm going to send you guys one more recommendation for something to pick up. And the gouache, I think, will really finish your set because you'll be able, it looks like this. It's what they give kids to play with a lot. So this is a gouache. So this is gouache right here. And I'm going to cut the thing off and whoops, sorry. And what you'll see gouache can do, gouache is like, that's gouache. I can take this white gouache. See how I can do that? Go over with a little light edge. So where I lose my lights, you kind of add them back in with gouache. You guys see how I'm doing that? I can't really do that with watercolor, but
Right.
gouache is just that much more transparent. So it's often fun to kind of like finish your paintings. Some people might call it cheating. I don't call it cheating. I think it's just using all the tools that are available to us.
Exactly.
Gouache covers a little bit better, more completely. Watercolor is very right? Gouache is a little bit less so. So you can get a little bit more control. So I'll send you guys, it's very cheap. I mean, the most of it. It's mostly what they give kids.
Is it like acrylic?
It's like between acrylic and watercolor.
Okay.
So if you can see it, if you look here, I'm gonna go down really.
It's like a little thicker.
It's just a little bit thicker. So if you can see, this is watercolor.
Mhm.
Down here, this is watercolor white. And if you can see here, I'm adding it in. It's still pretty. Here. It's still pretty transparent. It kind of disappears. But gouache really lays very thick and heavily
Right.
down. So it's just that little itty bit more, what we would call opaque, meaning, yes, it's like acrylic, right? Which means you can totally cover up one layer with another. So I like to have it to kind of finish things with these tiny little details. So I'll send you guys a link, an Amazon link. It's you might as well have it. They're pretty. I got Jessie hers already. We went shopping when I was there. And I bought everything because I knew if I didn't, Paula, we'd never get her, right? She's too busy.
Yes, it's really busy.
Got too much going on. I don't know how she does everything she does.
I know, I'd be exhausted.
I know, she's just got a lot of energy.
Hey everyone, I just came to say hi.
Lisa!
Oh, hi.
Hey, I was just gonna, hold on, I'm popping you up. I was just gonna say, I don't think we're gonna see any of you until after the Oscars, right?
Yes, it's almost here though. It's Sunday.
Are
So
you at work right now?
no, this is my home office, which is very messy. I'm trying to hold the camera angle at a good angle so you can't see everything. You can't see the chaos around me.
Oh, we love to see the chaos.
Yes.
Oh,
You've met Jonathan, but I don't think you've met
yeah.
Paula. Paula, this
Hi.
is Lisa.
Hi. Okay.
Hi, Lisa.
Paula is a traveling nurse in New Jersey.
Oh, cool.
And Lisa is a Reuters reporter in LA. And so she's on the red carpet. What are you doing right now, actually?
Well, I'm writing about your favorite movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm gonna win everything.
So much.
And then I'm writing a story trying to explain why this crazy bizarro movie is so popular. So
Why is it? How would you explain it?
oh God, I can't explain. I mean, I keep asking people that to help me out, but I mean, beyond the chaos, it is a family drama about a Chinese American immigrant family. But you
Right.
know, that doesn't even
It makes me cry, you know.
It really does, doesn't it? It's
yeah. I
I
mean,
get
it's
very emotional.
it you know, you kind of obviously it does not fall into a particular genre. It's just
It
it's-
falls into many genres.
yeah. So anyway, my head is spinning trying to figure it out, trying to do it justice, because like I said, it's you can say it's a story about a Chinese American immigrant family, you know, trying to repair their relationships, but it's way more than that.
You can also say that it is definitely a homage to Hong Kong filmmakers.
Mm.
So there's a lot of Hong Kong filmmakers where, if you know their movies, like Wong Kar-wai, who's very famous, you know, filmmaker. The Lifetime where she is a famous actress.
Yeah.
they never get together, but they see each other at the premiere.
Yes,
That is
that's
shot
my favorite.
very much in the style of a Wong Kar-wai movie.
Ah.
Everybody's kind of sad, and it's really like they're all
But they look beautiful.
beautiful.
I know. That's why I like
It
that.
never
Look
works
beautiful and
out.
not wacky
Yeah.
like they do the rest of the time.
Everybody's wearing a suit. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
like a totally. It's about. It's a. There are very specific movies. They are, play. They are bowing their hats to. You can totally. That is absolutely happening. So
Okay.
that's part of it. Oh, it's so great.
I will weave that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's good to see you. I just assumed we wouldn't see you. It was all, so thank you for
Well, the
popping in.
hibiscus is so
Letting
pretty.
us
I
know.
want to do it.
Yeah, I get it. And don't worry, everything's being recorded and we're going very gently and simply. So it is so nice to see you.
All right. Well, sorry I hijacked the class.
No,
but-
no.
Thank you for
actually,
coming. It's good to
I'm
see
I'm
you.
gonna
I
read
have
on
to
it
see the
one more
movie now.
I
second.
haven't forgotten about you.
One more second. I'm glad. How could you ever? Guys, why don't you hold up where you're at just to show her?
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Ah, that is
Ah,
odd.
ah.
This
like
is so much fun.
Oh my God, those are gorgeous.
I need to work on the middle more, but you know.
Yeah, working.
Yeah.
You're
The middle one doesn't
Jonathan.
look
You're
right
gonna
with
go
mine
dark.
either.
So now you can darken very beautifully and nicely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's stunning. Ah,
This was fun.
oh,
Thank you. Yeah.
Lisa, it's good to see you. Oh,
All right.
all right.
I-
sweetie.
Next Tuesday.
Lisa.
I will
We'll
see you.
see you next- Come and visit next week too.
Okay.
You can't make it.
All right. See you
All right.
guys.
Okay.
Bye. Nice
Bye.
meeting you.
Lisa serves two roles. She is so my main client, corporate client is Thomson Reuters, but also she's the president of the LA Press Club, which is the other client that we have that like comes to us. So Diane is the executive director of the press club. Jonathan comes through the press club. So Lisa kind of has to, she's really fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God, those are beautiful, you guys. They're really gorgeous.
This was fun.
They look better on camera than they do in
They-
real life.
They do. I was gonna say mine is much better on camera.
Ah, but that's good because you can kind of see what you need to do. You can
Right.
back up, go forward. We've got about 5 more minutes. Go ahead and work a little bit longer, unless you guys are done. Either way.
Yeah, I need mine to dry before I can like
Yeah.
do more of the middle. It's so wet.
Okay, all right. So just kind of keep on working on these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Excellent work, my friend.
Thank you, Leah. Good,
Excellent work.
good
All
night.
right.
Good
We'll see
night.
you next
Next
week.
week.
I'd love to see Jessie's tulip if she's back with us next
Okay.
week. I think those would be pretty. And then we'll probably move on to other things. Maybe
Okay.
roads, maybe a building or chair.
Okay.
Like go on to
Sounds
that. All right.
Great.
All right. Great work,
Okay.
everybody.
Take care. Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.